and welcome to tonight's episode of Triggered. I'm your host, Zachary Clark, and you all know my co-host, Adam Offerman. Adam, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thought just struck me. I think we should do an episode where we are VTubers.
What's a B-tuber?
Uh, V as in video. It's where you're like,
Like an anime guy?
yeah,
I don't know anything
or
about that.
you're the tech guy. Come on, make it
Yeah,
happen.
no,
Anyway,
Hank would have to take care of that, and he's the lazy bee, so he's not doing any of that stuff.
oh,
But tonight, well, maybe, I don't know, because we're on the cusp, we're on the verge, we're on the precipice of yet another season of Triggered. This will be considered the season finale episode of Triggered Season 3. This will be episode number 90, or video number 90, in the whole echelon of
yeah.
videos uploaded to our
So,
channel.
the one we need to we need to dub over.
Well,
Just my voice, I think, right?
that's the lost episode. It's gone forever. But didn't you?
Oh no, no wait, that's not true. The one that was gone forever was when you weren't feeling good during the middle of
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
you were like singing the whole first like 6 minutes.
That episode was great. A triggered classic, one might say.
I'm not discounting. Just saying, there's that would be the lost episode because that's all we have left. That's all we have of it.
Didn't you say that you? I thought you said that you saw someplace that the uh, lifespan of a podcast is something like they only get like one episode in or something like this.
Oh, I sent that to you. Yeah, I don't think it's one. I think it's just like five or six or something, right?
I don't know. I'm bringing this up. See. This is what we call in the business a prompt. You see, it's a talking point that then you
I
can
sent you
elaborate on. I don't know
that.
anything about
I
that.
I I send you the prompts. I'm like, hey, Zach might want to talk about this. Hey, Zach knows nonsense about this. Oh, hey, Zach knows this, and I don't. Oh, wait. Ooh, this will make Zach very angry. I'll send it to him.
I do it constantly, triggering me. Ah, and that's the name of the show. uh, but no, it's like yeah, like whatever. 80% of podcasts never get past episode 5 or whatever. Oh, we've done like 90, so it's fine. We're in the top echelon of all podcasts with a regular viewer count of 9. we, we do it for you, the viewer. I promise. It's definitely not just in lieu of therapy.
It's the old man therapy,
Uh,
right?
Here's my dime. Let me tell you all the horrible things in my life. Man, I can't wait till I'm old. It's gonna be so sick.
You're already there, dude.
I'm not that old yet. I'm still down with the kids. I know what's going on. I know that we're coming to you live straight from the frozen wastes of the grimmest, darkest land, filled with horrors of unimaginableness and moral ambiguity.
What place? The northern continent or what? I can't remember.
Yeah, the barrow wastes outside of a ancient tomb wherein a deep evil was sealed away, only to be released by the folly of a foolish man.
I don't think he was foolish. I mean, well, he knew what he knew what he was doing, but he was foolish in doing so.
Are you talking about the wizard Bowmans?
I believe I was I was listening to this book and
While
falling
you
in and out of sleep
while
during the whole
you
time.
were addled on your opioid painkillers or whatever after your surgery.
I was recovering from surgery, and yes, it was in and out of consciousness.
Yes. If likely none of you know what we're talking about, but tonight is a special episode of Triggered for our season finale of season 3. We're going to be discussing the seminal work of grim dark fantasy, The Black Company by Glenn Cook. Glenn Cook. That's right, right? I get his name right.
That's true. I believe so.
Yes. Uh, and anyway, some people brought it up. I finally listened to it. I liked it a lot. I recommended it to Adam, and then he listened to it. And now we will be giving you our book review of.
It has been recommended by some of my Twitter mutuals as well a couple years ago. So when you mentioned it, I got excited because I'm like, hey, I know what you're talking about. But that actually gave me incentive to read it or listen to it.
Oh yes. Yeah. So that will be the main course. The main course of tonight's episode. However, I believe. Waiter, where's that appetizer I asked for? Hey, waiter! We put in the order for the appetizer 20 minutes ago. I'm sorry, sir. Here it is. Here is your scanner radio.
Ugh.
Scanner radio. Coming to you straight from the Western Central Illinois Scanner Radio. We have murders. More murders in small town Illinois. Yes, this is a 19-year-old male is dead and an 18-year-old in custody for a murder in Camp Point, Illinois. Dun, 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 dun. We've been having an awful lot of murders lately.
We had a lot of murder trials, but I feel like there's at Camp Point, like nothing happens there. So that was surprising.
Oh, I don't know. I believe we're becoming the murder capital of the world. Chirac? No. Quinceganistan.
Happy anniversary of the troop withdrawal.
No, I caught this on the old Muddy River News, and I was shocked, I say, to find yet another murderer in our midst. But I guess he's just accused murderer, yet to be convicted, and innocent until proven guilty. I wouldn't want to jump to on any unwarranted speculation on the topic. The topic of murderers. Unlike Timothy Blyfnick, who was recently convicted of murdering his wife. Yes, that's right. We can call him a murderer because he was convicted. Did all the murders.
Back in June, right?
Yeah.
May or June.
Yeah, it was brought to trial really fast, faster than what you usually see.
Very fast.
The trial seemed to last forever, though, and it was all the talk of the town. Speculation. Even two local media figures happened to attend one day of the trial. But he was sentenced. The sentencing hearing was on August 11th, and they had the the victim impact statements, and so all the family members of the murdered victim got up and talked about all of the damage and harm that the murderer has caused them, and then he was sentenced to spend life in prison without the possibility of parole. Dun 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 dun. The harshest sentence available to us in this wonderful state of ours, the great state of Illinois. Since they don't let us hang guys anymore.
For killing their wife. Can't
Yeah,
hang them.
yeah. In a brutal and pre-planned, exacting murder of brutality and revenge. I believe he shot her 14 times. Practiced the murder in his basement with the gun. That was the key evidence.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what sealed it for me.
Yeah, the was it the state attorney asked to show as much mercy to him as he showed his wife, and I thought to myself, well, we can't because it would be illegal to do so. So
Yeah, we're not allowed to kill guys.
there.
Except, do you remember? During the last who was the president? I can't even remember. Just some guy, some clown, some buffoon, some guy that was the president during the last presidential term. But the federal government still kills guys on occasion.
Oh, all the time.
You never hear about it because it's bad press. But Trump was killing guys in federal prison, and they were killing federal prison guys in Illinois, and people were mad. And they said, "We barred the death penalty. Federal government shouldn't be able to murder guys in our state." And I said, "We should bring it back."
States' rights only when we want it, right?
Stretch them necks. That's what I say.
Jeez.
No, this is old Zach. Chime in the chat. Stretch them necks. That'll be our new channel slogan. But the criminal justice system, it's got its faults, but it still gets the job done. Like you remember.
I thought when you mentioned the federal, they still kill guys. I thought you meant like agents. Like.
Oh yes, no, they do too. There's been two FBI killings in the last week or so, both in
That's right.
wee hours of the morning.
Yeah. No knock warrants.
Yeah, those are highly problematic.
No.
But in Quincy, you may recall that there was a horrific traffic accident. A woman speeding like twice the speed limit, flying through a red light, collided with a car. He killed everybody in that car. The driver.
Like 4 people.
Yes, it was a whole family of like 4 killed. And then she was charged with first-degree murder and all this other stuff. And justice was served, Adam, because they reached a plea deal.
I just was talking about
less than 1 day in jail before being released.
No.
Yep.
I thought she.
The woman, the defendant, had a myriad of charges, but psychological evaluations by both the defense and the prosecution's experts showed that she was insane at the time of the crimes, and so she could not be convicted. Not guilty due to mental disease or defect, and so they dropped all charges except for the strict liability ones of driving without a license, and she was sentenced to, I believe it was 3 years, but
Yes, that's
for
heard.
for reasons. The state sent her directly on probation after spending about 12 hours in prison.
Oh, this is outrageous. I didn't hear about that. Absolutely outrageous. Is she in a mental facility?
No,
Is
I
it where
believe
she's confined for the?
she's just been released.
If she is legally insane, she should.
She's
She
not
is
insane
obviously a
now.
danger.
She's not insane now or a danger. She was only insane and a danger at the time she murdered 4 people with her car.
We just got flagged for my vocab word there.
No, I was actually talking and your voice didn't show up on the show. So.
Okay, good. Absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, so justice served in the great state of Illinois. The best part,
Wait, I want to be done with the show right
prosecuting attorney Jones was also the prosecuting attorney in this case, as with the Bleifnick trial. And when he was talking about it, he's like, it's difficult. It's difficult for people to understand, but we have an obligation to not prosecute when the evidence shows us is convincing that the person isn't guilty due to mental disease or defect. So we're not going to have a trial. We're not going to tell you what the experts found or why she was considered insane at the time of the commission of these crimes. We're not going to have evidence presented, so you can't go through this process of exposing the truth and making sure that everything's above board. But we're going to, before trial happens and anything else, we're going to have experts just figure it out, and they tell us that she was insane. And these are people that we trust. These are experts we've used before. So we're going to drop all these charges.
now. No,
We
absolutely
can't
not.
prove them anyway.
You don't even have to go with the first degree murder to get her behind bars for at least a minimum of, let's see, 5 years per victim for some sort of like reckless homicide.
Yeah, she couldn't be convicted of any of those things. She couldn't have the mens rea. She couldn't have the appropriate mental state to be able to form
So,
recklessness.
oh gosh, someone who is in fact and in reality a danger to society, does not know what she does at certain times, can't control herself, has zero culpability because of the loss of sanity, set her free in the public.
Yeah, you're getting it. Parole District 3.
If I was victim's family, I would not be happy. I am not part of victim's family, and I'm outraged.
I'm sure everybody else is fine with this.
No,
Yeah.
sounds good. Sounds good. What does that one say? What was that one?
No, you don't want to know.
What did it say?
No.
What did it say?
No, we're moving on. We're
All
moving
right.
on from this. That's
What
too
did
much.
it say?
That's too much of a black pill during the scanner radio session. But did you know, Adam? Oh.
What did it say?
Breaking news! Breaking news, Adam.
Oh,
There's been a smell of gas, and you'll never guess where it's coming from. Taco Bell.
oh, how do you go from that outrageous? Oh, Zach, you're the worst.
3828 Broadway Taco Bell, smell of gas inside of the building. That's
We should be getting paid for
that's usually the case. And finally, be on the lookout. Keep your eyes peeled, because you never know when you might see in Quincy, Illinois, a grizzly bear. I did not hear it, but all heard someone said that they are seeing grizzly bears in Quincy. So
I do not believe that.
good thing all of our parks have those bear-proof trash bins, so that the bears, the grizzly bears, not even black bears. We're talking grizzly bears.
I did not hear it all, but heard someone said that they see grizzly bears. There's no way. No way you're seeing a 8-foot, 100-pound bear. I don't know how much they weigh.
100
like
pounds?
I know. They're like 6 feet, 400 pounds or something. I don't know.
How big are grizzly bears? This is what I found on the internet. Grizzly bears are large and powerful animals. They are typically 3 to 5 feet tall at the shoulders when standing on all fours, and can reach up to 9 feet tall when standing on their hind legs.
Okay. 8 feet, correct.
Males are heavier than females and weigh up to 860 pounds.
There we go. 800 pounds. 9 feet, 850 pounds. Ah, gosh. You know, Zach, I changed my mind. I was gonna go hiking in Grizzly Park tomorrow, but I'm not gonna go there anymore.
Well, look at this. Look at this range. The range of the bears is nowhere near Illinois.
I can't see that.
The range?
Zoom. Enhance.
Ugh.
Enhance.
All right, let's see if we can pull this up. America's brown bear. Yada yada yada. Sis boom ba. There ain't no range on this page.
Hit the plus button. That's all you had to do.
Son of a gun! You can't just hit the plus button. No.
Okay.
Grizzly bear range map.
Just zoom in. Alt F4 zooms in.
Images. Here we go. Look.
I can't read. I just see colors.
Look. It's full screened now. The
Historic range.
The current range is this yellow.
Okay, historic range. What's the light green?
The light green is the historic range. The current range is the yellow.
No, I'm talking about
forests.
There's the hunter green.
This is the Appalachian Mountains.
Oh, so it's topography stuff. Physical geography.
I don't know anything about Pokemon.
I don't know why you say things sometimes.
What? You said topography. I don't know. Is that a grass type?
I'm not even ready for this.
Gotta catch them all. Anyway. All right. So let me set the stage. You're a weather weary, a battered man, cast with a band of characters, all equally jaded by the trials and tribulations of the world, and you're set about to sell your services, your swords, to the highest bidder, but never your honor as a member of the Black Company. Dun, 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 dun. Black Company by Glenn Cook. Often described as the original work of grim dark fantasy, the Black Company is the chronicle of a mercenary band in the fantasy world of I don't think it's ever been named.
I don't know. I don't remember it. I just
Yeah.
remember they were in the northern part of the continent or in the North Continent. At
Yep.
least the majority of the story. They started out. You imagine in my mind, it's sort of a quasi like it's a coastal town, right, or something.
Yes. So we're introduced. So I'll give a brief summary of the plot, spoiler free. This book came out in 1984. So if you haven't read it yet, just get wrecked. You're probably gonna have some secrets revealed to you tonight if you're watching the show. But it follows a specific arc in the life of a mercenary band that is hundreds of years old. So the Black Company has been around for hundreds of years. The Black Company is a mercenary band who is in the current employ of the, let's call him the mayor of a coastal town, who is the town which is in the grips of unrest caused by devious elements, let's say. The story's main character is.
You're so much better than me at this. I would have been like, it's the Forvalaka, and then there's the these are the real terms.
Well, you get into that.
I know. But that's what I'm saying. This is why you do these things because I would have been using the terms in the book and it would have confused everyone.
Uh, the main character of the story, the perspective from which the story is told, is from the doctor of the Black Company, the doctor
And he chronicler too.
and chronicler, and that's what this story purports to be. It is the chronicle as told by the doctor, historian, chronicler of the Black Company, as is his job. And it is this period of time, these events that happened that led up to and culminated in pro, precipitous events that are going to lead to bigger things in future stories. I have not read any of the other books. I've only read The Black Company, which is the first book in a now like 10 book series or something like
I was
that.
gonna say there's a handful of but there's a handful of series with I mean it's the one whole universe or whatever, but because I was like, oh man, that was I enjoyed it. What else is there? You know, or I am enjoying it. What else is there? And the author has broken it up into like 2 to 3 book series throughout that whole thing. So you don't have to, if 10 books intimidates you like it does for me, but I'm like, well, maybe 3, I could do that one, finish off the story. But that first book, this first book, The Black Company, uh, was satisfying enough. If it's just like a one-off book that you want to read,
Oh yeah, yeah. It was a complete story, I would say, and it had a satisfying arc and conclusion.
yeah,
Uh,
too.
it didn't have like a happy ending necessarily, and I think that might be because we're gonna have to get into this a little bit, but Grim Dark is always like to me been presented in modern day as a oh they're just like killing people at random and it's completely hopeless and nihilistic and stuff, and there wasn't any of that necessarily in this
'Cause
story.
he kind of questions that though, like throughout, because of the characters and stuff you encounter. He's just kind of like the morally gray. Evil is the the whatever you're fighting against right now, right? That was kind of his belief, and then he sees some stuff, and then at the end he's just kind of like, I don't think I was right at the beginning, where evil is just whatever you're fighting. I think I have seen evil, and it is horrifying.
Uh, well, I mean, I think that part of the problem was that there was no good guy. There was no, you know, benevolent actor in the sense of forces moving within the universe. There wasn't
Well,
one that was having an impact on the narrative of this book.
she kind of did.
Not
She
really.
was there.
We don't
She
know.
was
We don't know
there.
anything about that. She was really not even in the book.
She is the. She is it.
She was alluded to. She was present in it, but had no impact on it.
Correct. She wasn't. She wasn't making.
She wasn't an agent in the story.
Correct. She.
She's a Chekhov's gun for the next three books or whatever.
Well, I think that you could. That's what I think is that you could write it off as with that ending and with the tease or whatever, it being a oh she is the good person that will bring the prosperity or
Not even the
but you're right.
prosperity.
There's even like the good you could like project. There's like I think there was there like a 17-year-old boy who was dead in one of the villages or something, and they even alluded to how like he was a good guy because he was the only one who protected like the women and children or something of that village. You could just tell by the bodies or whatever. And he was noble by just that stuff. He was the only guy there, and he was dead, right? So, well, once again, to your point, he wasn't like in the story making like changes in progression and impacting it in that way. It's just like a one-off. There were heroes there. It just wasn't the focus of these stories.
Right. And I think that is something that, and I don't know. I looked at a few reviews of the book, in preparing for the show tonight, and I always like to look at 1-star reviews. They're probably my favorite thing in the world because very few things are 1 stars. Uh, if they are 1 stars, for real, they are block of text, sort of incoherent rambling kinds of things. Uh, Nothing that or 3.93 star review with 47,790 ratings is a 1-star review. It's not a possible thing.
Yeah, no, that's where The Hobbit 1 star. Okay, come on.
Yeah, you're like you pull up the the Lord of the Rings reviews, click the 1-star review ratings and find the crazies because it's like it's not 1 star. I mean, even if it's not your cup of tea, which was one of the key phrases a lot of these people use, it's like 2 stars or whatever. But
Yeah, like
even
personal. It's like personal preference, right? Not whether or not it's a quality thing.
I don't think that a lot of people are able to divorce those facts.
They're not. They're not.
Uh, so you have people like Nancy here, who has made 557 reviews. She has 779 followers on Goodreads for her excellent book reviews that she does. After After 75 pages, I've come to the conclusion that life is too short to waste reading bad books. Positive praise and reviews caused me to bring the book home against my best judgment. The first person style, lack of character depth, stupid names, inane dialogue, and juvenile prose have caused me to abandon the book in frustration. Good thing I read Mary Gentile's Ash, A Secret History before giving up on military fantasy genre altogether.
Come on,
1
dude.
stars.
Stupid name. The whole point was they gave up their names. They were a new person in this, and also they did the trope where like knowing the true name stuff was a danger. So you never gave your full name or your true name, your real name, because that could spell harm for you later.
You would have had to
Literally
read
spell.
more than 75 pages to even understand what the book was about, I think. But it was interesting. The first 75 pages would have covered the introduction of the Black Company. It would have covered wizards, magic dueling, mythical beasts, investigating plagues, and mercenary politics and stuff like this. And it's like, the first 75 pages where I just couldn't get into it. I don't think we read the same thing as Nancy. Is what I'm saying.
For some reason, there are people who get really hung up and they're like, first person, absolutely not. But it's you just forget about it when you're like reading and you're focusing and paying attention. It's like, okay, maybe I do prefer third person, but first, there's so many times where I go back and I look at a book and it's like, oh wait, this was first person. I didn't remember that. I thought it was third person.
Second person. That's my favorite.
Oh my gosh, this is first person present. What?
Yes.
What idiot writes?
It makes perfect sense in the
I wrote first person.
It into the perspective of the guy who's going through an immediate, traumatic and thrilling situation.
Well, and that's the thing too with the Croker as the protagonist. There is they in even some cases they tease like unreliable narration. And he kind of even preps for that too. There's like certain things where because he's in the midst of wizards and stuff, and he's just kind of like, I don't know if I'll be safe, or I felt like horror, I lost consciousness maybe. In the future, I'll have to, not be in these meetings or something because I might, reveal things. So I got to protect myself against that. And yes, there is a lack of character, lack of depth for him, but I think that is part of it to draw you in to kind of see you as, kind of see him as like maybe you-ish. You don't go really hard on certain things, but
I think that the key is it's like he was doing a thing. Croker is the chronicler, and this is the chronicle of the Black Company. This is him keeping a record of the events that happened. He regularly references in the book that he has to discuss what happened with witnesses and other people who were there for events. Because he wasn't there, or there wasn't anybody he could talk to, oftentimes there'll be a skip, a gap We can't talk about the events that happened the night between day 3 and 4 of the battle for the city because nobody that I was able to talk to had anything to report about that or whatever. He is keeping a first person account of the events of the Black Company. Unreliable narration is a very interesting thing, too, because he touches on this explicitly saying that while he tells the story true, he will tell it in a light that is favorable to the Black Company. So the events as relayed, you have to understand, are being filtered through this official reporter of the Black Company of their events. So they're going to come across as being more noble, or when they have to engage in reprehensible conduct, there's going to be rationalizations and justifications.
Rationalization. And it also, Zach, you mentioned that he touches on the unreliable or the unreliable narration thing. Is he specifically addresses it with either with other witnesses or other people that he encounters who are trying to also tell him the events. And he's just like, there are certain times where it's like, I don't even know to. They have ulterior motives, so I don't even know if I can believe them for
Right.
this,
Yes.
even though that what and so it's a great literary tactic because then we're relayed the same information that he is in the story, but we also are uncertain. But we are uncertain about it, and then also we know that the character's uncertain because so it could or could not be true, and we still then uh, we trust the character then because he's relaying the uncertainty of another uh, person.
Yes, and the whole thing too, you can get a sense of that it feels like it could be a trick. The whole thing is him trying to convince us of his perspective on the things that have happened. Even in the times when, in a moment of jaded disillusionment or whatever, he'll openly talk about how the company sells out its honor for convenience at times or what have you.
He mentioned, I remember the one time he talked about it after, of course, the justification of it in the beginning.
Yes, absolutely. So it's like this is what the story is. It isn't a third person omnipotent narrator telling you the story around the campfire or whatever. It is the perspective of a guy keeping a journal and chronicle of these events from a biased perspective. And that is the context that I think that some of these reviewers may not have read far enough to grasp or couldn't, and some of their critiques were would have been addressed by maybe being able to understand that a little bit. But the narrative itself is very interesting to me because it alludes to larger forces that are moving in the world because of this. So the perspective is this one guy in this mercenary company who has been hired by dark and powerful forces. But they are just a small piece. And they play their role. They have their battles to fight, their fortresses to conquer or whatever. But the in the background there's these large forces moving. There's this broader narrative, and it goes something like this. Hundreds of years ago, the Dominator and the Lady broke down and controlled 10 of the most powerful wizards in all of the land. And those 10 were taken, and they are the 10 that were taken. and they are enslaved to the Dominator and the Lady, and all bowed before them, and every door was broken, every fortress fell, and they ruled in totality until the White Rose came, a a wizard of purity who fought and destroyed them and scarred and crippled even the Taken until they were imprisoned within a tomb and sealed for hundreds of years.
And the Dominator and the Lady, but she couldn't. What was it? The White Rose?
Yes.
Yeah, didn't have the strength to destroy them,
Correct.
just to.
Yeah, so they were just in a state of undeath, a state of the spirit between worlds, trapped in this tomb for hundreds of years until the wizard Bowmans, who Adam had referred to earlier, in a moment of folly, maybe, I don't know, because there are other things that are revealed later in the story about this, goes to the tomb and breaks the seal and sets free the Lady. The Lady sets free the 10 that were taken, but betrays her husband, the Dominator, leaves him trapped and sealed within the tomb with Bowmans himself, and then goes on to reclaim her empire that was lost. Dun 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 dun. And so you have then this. This is no direct evidence, reporting, narrative, or information about any of the things I just told you. All of that stuff is rumor, innuendo, things that Croker hears because they're just the Black Company and he's just chronicling the things that they do and he doesn't know anything about that stuff. Asides, references, innuendos to these broader things that are moving in the background that we don't see because Croker and the Black Company doesn't see them. We don't know. They weren't involved with that stuff. That's just rumor and things and doesn't touch on what he's talking about. Until it does. And so there are these... it keeps you engaged in the story because there is the secret, the mystery, the intriguing thing out there, and little pieces are being revealed here and there as Croker has his interactions with the Taken that has engaged them, called Soul Catcher, because they call her Catcher. Catcher.
Like Dominator and Soul Catcher and Whisper and who was the behemoth, the strong man.
I can't remember all the names of the Taken except for there is Shifter, Catcher, the Limper.
There was like something like Bone Crusher.
Yeah,
so like
Bone Crusher, the Hanged Man.
The Hanged Man. There's all these things, and then it's like the Limper, and I'm like, oh come on, dude! Like that's just my name.
I mean, he was a terrifying figure. In the film, in the book.
In the film, yeah.
Nope. They don't have a film, sadly. I think this would make a sick Amazon series if they wouldn't ruin it.
Wait, what? Amazon or anime series?
An Amazon series, like $1 billion. If they got $1 billion, like that Lord of the Rings one, and they faithfully adapted the Black Company,
that would be pretty scary.
But they would never do that.
No, they would not do that.
The best
they just to Zach. Remember, they could just they could do that and still meet their code, because remember, Croker's like, I don't know if these Taken are men or women, and some of them seem to change. So I'm just gonna call all of them men, and it works for plot reasons too. But no, the Limper. Yeah, I'm like, the Limper. That's a lame name, dude. Yeah, but then the way that he's described from, once again, secondhand stuff, and even when he is shown, he is terrifying, even though the name. You hear like the thumping in the floorboards above or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, the
No.
Liver's here! Oh my god!
No, I loved all the names. The nicknames were a joy to me reading this, and so to the extent that people are objecting to, you're gonna have nicknames and you're gonna have ways that you refer to guys, and
Um,
it makes even more sense in the context of this, where these guys have been like fixtures within this mercenary troop. In the case of Tom Tom and One Eye, and
yeah, silence,
and
silence.
Silence, Silent, and Goblin, the wizards that are like hundreds of years old or
That's what I was
whatever.
gonna say. There's no like age of how old they're supposed to be or whatever. It's just like you get the sense that Croker could be like 80 years old or something doing this, and still able to do it. And even because there's this weird plot reasons or whatever, he looks forward into the future and he's like, well, could I, hypothetically, would I still be alive for this? And you don't know when that is. I get the sense it's anywhere from 40 to 100 years later.
Yeah,
And so it's a cool thing that they did with their universe or whatever, with all the magic and
right.
yeah.
How they
So,
incorporate it. I think that you had asked somebody for recommendations for stories that incorporate like how magic might be used in a battle combat setting or something, and
yeah, military magic or military fantasy. Yes.
yeah, and how Black Company is an example of how that is done by a guy who tries to work it in some sort of I can't call it like realistic, but like a rational, presentation of it in the context of these different forces that are moving around.
Yeah.
So you'll have big battles, and within those, these powerful magical forces are playing a role, but they don't have the power within themselves or even in combination to not have also an army with them of men to do all the things, dig the ditches and build the siege engines and all this stuff, which is part
Oh,
of the reason why the Black Company was engaged in the first place. And this all sort of builds together to what it is. To see
oh my
that,
gosh. You have like uh 15, 20 guys taking on one wizard and they're still losing.
oh yeah, and I had trouble understanding at first that the Black Company is engaged by one of the Taken who serves the lady. And so, in the context of a normal fantasy story, this is the dark priestess, the evil side. The Black Company's on the bad side. And
Yeah.
so you hear allusions to the Council of the White Rose or whatever, which are the like alliance of different entities within the territory that are opposing the lady,
Yes.
but they're composed of a lot of magicians and wizards as well. And the main antagonists to the lady and her mission to conquer the territory and reclaim her empire are wizards and stuff. And so then the sort of the turnabout is that okay, so this is the Black Company, the Lady and the Dominator, the 10 that were taken, the bad guys, and we're on the side of the bad guys. And the Council of the White Rose or whatever, and those guys are the White Rose, so they're the fighting against the evil empire. So that's the good guys. That's the Rebel Alliance in Star Wars or whatever. But
Yes.
as it turns out, there weren't any good guys, and the good guys were also under the thrall of different evil and conniving forces, and they had their own political and you know, military ambitions in opposing the lady that weren't, you know, like fairy tale virtuous or whatever. And so these things are revealed through the interactions that the Black Company and Croker have with these people, and you can see how those forces are also acting in ways that aren't fairy tale virtuous. There's this moral ambiguity about who's good and who's bad. But in the background, like we had talked about at the beginning, there is a force, a divine force, a providential, messianic figure that exists, who is that force of good, that fairy tale good that exists in the universe. And it's a thread that runs through it. And I think the last time I saw it like described in a way that really articulated it well was talking about how I think it was Conan Esquire on Twitter was talking about the difference between George R. R. Martin and J. R. R. Tolkien in their narratives and the work of the divine in overcoming a hopeless trial, something that cannot be won by the strength of men alone, but requires the intervention of the divine in order to effect it. And what your job to do as that mortal is to continue to have hope and to do everything that you can do in your power and to have faith that the intervention will arrive. Where George R. R. Martin doesn't allow for that, that is in effect what happens in the Tolkien stories as the eagles come and intervene to the salvation of the hobbits, etc., etc. But
It's I just want to interject. There's the first Solomon Kane story that I ever read. I forgot what the something stars. The story escapes. Story name escapes me, but he's on this road and he gets accosted by a ghoul or shadow demon or whatever, and you know his gun or his knife doesn't work, and so then he's like fighting, and you kind of don't get the grip or grasp on how they're fighting, but they're fighting with uh faith, and there's this ghoul who's defeating him with like this depression and horror and terror, and he realized that he has to hold out on hope and truth, and you know that's how he overcomes the ghoul is through the power of friendship, which is the best thing. No, but that's it's just that was how things happened back. That's how you wrote things back in, you know, prior to 1984 or whatever, like 1970s.
yeah,
So
yeah, you have to allow for that to happen, and the revelation that it occurs is like a transformative to the characters in the story, which is how the Black Company concludes with a understanding. The eyes of the characters that we've been following in this nihilistic, like moral gray, no one's good, no one's bad thing, begin to believe and understand that there is that secret divine intervention of goodness that is working behind the scenes. It's been revealed to them, just a glimpse of it by the end of the story, and it changes all of them that have their eyes open.
yeah, like all three of them are.
Yeah, more than that. It's alluded that many in the company understand what's happening, and that's why they don't go after Raven at the end.
Oh, okay.
He is dead under the
Uh,
Chronicles.
oh, that's right. That's right. I remember now.
So, but with that, I believe that we're running out of time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Do you recommend The Black Company? I recommend The Black Company.
No, 1 star. I mean,
What?
come on. What are the names and
What the heck? Terrible. I'd rather read the Harry Potter in one book again.
oh, no.
But as usual, we must close the episode with our ice cold fact of the week, coming to you straight from Ice-T himself. Ice cold facts. I think it is important to realize that no matter how good you are to people, it won't make them good to you. Ice cold fact. You can't change people. You can only do what you can do. Thank you, Ice-T, once again for your wisdom. All right, show. That's the folks. All right, folks, that's the show.
Hey.
We really hoped you enjoyed it, and if you did, smash like, subscribe, and share it with all of your friends. If you'd like to follow us on social media, our handles are on the screen. That's at Adam S. Furman, at Zachary W. _Clark, and at Triggered_Media. Adam, here at the end of the show, did you have anything that you'd like to add?
No. It's time for bed.
All right, folks, that's it. That's the show, and we will see you next time on Triggered. Good night.